Gineod, upon leaving the throne room, you find yourself in the hands of the Black Dragonborn guards. They begin to take you deeper and deeper into this structure you were in. As you're passing through the halls, and with your dark vision, you can see that these stairs that descend further down, there is a moist, acidic, rocky smell as you go further and further down within the structure. It comes to a point where, as the Black Dragonborn guards are bringing you down, it starts to level out and become less of a descent. And as they move you forward here, you watch as they tightly grip your arms, shoving you forward into a place with multiple cages inside. From your basic perception here, you can see that the cages appear to be empty, though they contain that same musky, acidic, rocky smell that you smelled as you descended down. They push you forward, and as they push you forward, a guard opens up the cell door, and they shove you inside very aggressively. And upon shoving you, the guard standing next to the door quickly shuts it and latches it locked. And as they do so, the guards that brought you leave the prison area, leaving the one guard to guard your prison cell. Is there anything you do in this moment?
Yeah, after Gineod gets shoved in here, he quickly runs up to the door. Is this like a cage door?
Yeah, it's a cage door, so you can see through it, and it's the cage bars that are keeping you separate from the prison guard.
As Gineod gets shoved in, he runs up to the cage doors and begins to grab the bars and look out to see where the guards are going.
Okay, and as you do that, you grip the bars and look out, and you can watch as they exit the entryway where they came from, and all of a sudden they are out of sight. And as you step back from gripping the cage door, you all of a sudden begin to notice something very unusual to you. As you let go of the bar doors, you begin to see within your arms, your veins are now beginning to show. They're popping and very visible, unlike before. And as you hold your hands up, your face starts to feel flush and warm to you. But the most distinguishing thing that you notice here is that as you look at your hands are beginning to shake. And it's in this moment that when you notice your hands beginning to shake, you begin to feel a feeling that you did not feel within the Eternal Comor. You begin to feel the feeling of anger. Time begins to pass by, as it is hard to really determine how much time has really gone by. Deep down here in the cell, no visual to the sunlight, no visual to the night sky. Just the darkness that you can see in, and the cell that you ultimately remain trapped in. Gineod, is there anything you would like to do in this time that you were in the prison cell?
I have nothing that I want to do. However, Gineod does think about and try and come to grips with this new emotion that he feels, and begins to think about how and why he feels the way he does. And I think ultimately comes back to the point that because he has never felt this before, he does not know how to express it.
As you deal with your anger, you eventually, as time goes on, fall asleep within your cell. And as you awaken, again not knowing how much time has passed by, you awaken to the sound of similar footsteps coming from the area where the guards had previously exited. And based on the sound of the footsteps, you are aware that it is the guards, or at least other creatures that maybe wear something similar to what the guards wear. Your attention is drawn to that entrance, and upon looking, you do see the two guards again, but you also see an additional figure appear here in the prison cell. You see a lot of struggle, you see some resistance, but ultimately you see the same firm grip of the Black Dragonborn guards that grip the very arms of you. They also grip with the same strength this creature that they bring here in the prison cell. As they bring this creature within the prison here, you see a third guard go up to another cell and open it, just as the one that guards yours did for you. And as this guard opens it, the two Dragonborn guards take the resisting creature and they shove the creature inside of the prison cell, with the third guard quickly shutting the door and locking it.
Can I see the creature in the other cell from where my cell is at?
So upon looking at the other cell across from you, Mackenzie, why don't you go ahead and describe your character currently?
Yeah, so what Gineod would see is a small female dwarf dressed in dirty brown leather. Her hair is a long, straggly brown hair at this point, just from the journey that she has taken and ultimately getting here where she is at. Her face is very dirty, looking as if she had been maybe punched a couple times, a few bruises along her face. Fairly stock kind of physique to her. But I think what will reveal itself the most to Gineod would be the fact that she appears to be bleeding along her very big belly. And Gineod would find her along the cage doors, sitting and crying and ultimately moaning for freedom at this point.
Okay, thank you, Mackenzie. Gineod, this is what you see at this point that you're looking at the cell. What do you wish to do?
Gineod will try and call out to the creature, Hey, are you okay?
Mackenzie, does your character respond?
No, she does not. She is so caught up in her heart and her emotions that as she sits there by the door and hears the voice of this Asimar, she is actually going to start scooting towards the back of the cell to be as out of sight as possible from anybody.
So you scoot to the back of the cell and are now out of the range of sight of Gineod. Gineod, do you see anything else?
No, upon seeing that she scooted out of visual range, I think Gineod comes to the conclusion that talking anymore is not going to help. And so he also scoots towards the back of his cell and remains quiet and back to the thoughts of where he's currently at.
Okay, well, thank you, Gineod. We now turn our attention to you, Drexiath. Upon finding the book from the treasure hoard and reading the message, what would you have done at that point?
Yeah, Drexiath would have gone back to his quarters with the book. And I think because of the fascination he has from how the book came to him, what the book did whenever he opened it, I think he takes the book back to his room, closes the door, and lays the book out on the floor to the pages that said "Hello, Drexiath," along with the sigils. And he leaves it open and he just stares at it, hoping, waiting to see if there is another message that comes from the book.
As you sit and wait for a new message, something new to show up, a few hours pass by. 3 hours. 4 hours. You're getting later into the night. And nothing. Nothing appears on the book.
Okay. I decide after those hours and getting into the night, feeling the weariness, I decide to go ahead and turn in for the night. And Drexiath will keep the book about arm's length from his bed, just on like a shelf or a drawer of some kind, and he will get his rest.
Okay. So Drexy, if you do get your rest, you sleep through the night, nothing eventful happens. But morning comes on the 20th day of Miphrea, and you awaken, not to any alarms, not to any particular sounds, just a normal everyday wake up for you. And as you awaken, you look over to the shelf where you set the book, and the book remains in the exact same position, in the exact same spot that you left it.
Okay, as I wake up, I sit up from my bed, and I take the book, and I sit back down in the middle of my room, and I open to the page with the sigils and with the message, "Hello, Drexiath." And as I look at the book, I ask the book, "What are you? Who are you?"
Okay, as you ask that question, nothing happens. The book remains motionless, no new words, Nothing from it. And as you give it some time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, still nothing. Until you begin to see a new message begin to write and appear within this book that you found. And beneath the sigils that you had seen the last time when this book had essentially written something in itself, you see a message that says, "I am the power that you lack." And as you see that message appear, more sigils begin to appear underneath the message. These sigils, very similar to the ones that you saw before. And as you start to look at them and determine their meaning, another phrase appears beneath the sigils. The phrase says, "Knock, knock, Drexiath." And it is in that moment you hear a knocking sound come upon your door. It startles you for a moment. You hear it knock again.
I step out of it, close the door, close the book quickly. I say, "Who is it?"
And upon you asking that, you hear a muffled voice from the other side of the door. And the voice says, "It's Sabi. You are late. Please hurry for your training. I will be waiting for you."
Drexiath thinks to himself, oh, the training. I almost forgot. And he quickly hides the book just underneath his bed, like any other child that would clean their room, just hide everything under the bed. And he quickly gets on his robes he uses for sparring and practicing sessions, and he tries to get ready as fast as he can so that way he can meet Sabi for practice.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, Drexiath. We now go back to Gineod. Gineod, some time passes as you're deep within your thoughts, and you can still hear the deep breathing and the sobbing in the cell not far from you, from the woman that was just brought in here. Mackenzie, does your character remain in the back of the cell?
Yeah, I think she tries to stay back there, really just as long as she can, as much as she wants, because she does not want to be seen by anybody.
Okay. Gineod, what do you wish to do in this moment?
Well, after taking some time to think, I think in the time that he's thinking, he is actually pondering what the last thing that he remembers as the meteor was crashing to the Camor. And he remembers the voice of Yatzer, and the voice telling him that he was here to meet a female dwarf, and thinking it not of coincidence, that here within his prison that he remains, it was a female dwarf that was brought in not long after the time that he was brought in. And so seeing this as almost a revelation or providence of sorts, he's gonna go up to the cage door and is gonna call out again, hey, are you okay?
Mackenzie, do you respond?
No, I don't think she does.
Gineod remains persistent, and he continues to remain at the cage door. He says, my name is Gineod. I would like to help. How can I help you?
After my character hears this, she kind of crawls over weakly to the cage door and shows enough of her face where they see eye to eye. And she says, you can't help me. You can't help me. I was taken from my home. I was taken by such savage creatures. I don't know where my husband is. I miss my home. I'm in pain. And really the tears start to come at this point. She says, and I don't know if my child is alive.
Gineod looks at her and looks at her bleeding belly. And he says, I am so sorry. I'll do anything I can to help. I want to help you.
Well, you can't help me. You're in a prison cell of your own. So unless you can get out of your own prison, you might as well stop offering to help me. I don't know if anybody can help me now.
Gineod pulls himself up a little bit on the cage doors and he says, I will help you. Yatzer will help you.
Yatzer? You think Yatzer will help me? Where was Yatzer whenever I was taken from my home? Where was Yatzer when I was dragged here to Helver? Where was Yatzer when the womb I bear my child in is wounded? Where was he then? No. Hey, Samar. I know your people have strong belief. That belief does not change what I have now experienced. Please just leave me to my woes.
Gineod saying that he will not get any further with conversation. He says, please just at least tell me your name.
Before she crawls to the back of her cell, she looks back at him. She says, my name is Milcha. And she finishes crawling to the back of her cell.
Upon hearing her name, I don't say any more, but there is a little bit of hope that jumps in me as she speaks the same name that Yatzer told me.
Okay, we're gonna cut from the scene where you guys are at now. We're going to jump back to Drexiath. Drexiath, as you now arrive to the training grounds where your practicing often happens, it's a very dojo-ish kind of area where you practice. It's a harder ground, though. It's not really, there's no mat, like no soft landing if you fall or get knocked down. But you can see like various types of corroded architecture that surround this training area. The ground itself has blackened, and that familiar acidic scent that is just so second nature to you just fills this area. But you arrive, and as you see Sabi there, she stands there with her hands behind her back, observing the grounds, and you see not far from her, you see your sister Janasha. She's beginning to wrap her hands in this adhesive, which is usually a common practice when preparing for a sparring session. As you approach, Sabi looks over. Well, we have less time to work with since Drexiath here did not appear at the time he was supposed to. So, both of you, get to your sides and let us practice our unarmed combat. And Janasha goes to her side. Drexiath, you go to your side. Is there anything before this sparring combat that you wish to do before you begin battle?
No, not really. I'm just in the robes that I have, and I think Drexiath is so lost in thought about that book that he doesn't think to take any other kind of measures to prepare for combat.
Okay. Well, what we'll do, Drexiath, I'll have you go ahead and roll initiative, and we'll go ahead and begin combat.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. And initiative is the D20 roll, right?
Yes, the D20 is used for your attack rolls, your ability checks, which is what an initiative roll is, and also for your saving throws. So yes, go ahead and roll that D20, and you'll add your initiative modifier, which is, for you, is probably just your dexterity bonus.
Okay. That is a 19.
Okay. And Janasha rolled an 18, so you get to go first, just barely.
Okay. As I see her on the other side, how far are we from each other?
You're 30 feet from each other.
Okay. I will just go ahead and charge at her 30 feet with my fist clenched, and I'm going to go for a quick punch.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and roll your attack roll.
I got a 17 to hit it.
Yep, that hits. So what is your strength modifier?
My strength modifier is 1.
Okay, so you would do 2 damage from it. An unarmed strike does 1 plus your strength modifier whenever you hit.
Okay. And that'll be the end of my turn.
Okay, so as you run forward and you come in ready to go ahead and take a swing, like Janasha has her stance somewhat ready, but she didn't expect you to go for an uppercut, and so your punch lands along her chin, kind of taking her by surprise. She sticks her claws to her mouth for a moment before turning around and getting ready to also attack you, and so she's going to go ahead and take her attack as well. And she rolled a natural 20.
Oh man. Okay.
But you're fortunate on this one because normally with a natural 20 for our crit rules, we would take the max of the die that we roll and then roll it again for the crit damage. But since the unarmed strike does not have any dice damage, you luck out and it just a hit. You do take 4 points of damage though. And frustrated from the fact that she did not expect your punch so easily, she runs up and she takes her elbow and puts her elbow directly into your face and just whack, like elbow to the nose, leaving your eyes starting to get teary-eyed just from the hit from the elbow onto your face. It is now your turn.
Okay, so staggering back, I wipe my eyes real quick, and I'm gonna try and do a quick little kick just to the side of the leg. I rolled a 17 again.
Okay, yeah, that hits, so it's another 2 points of damage. And upon your kick, there is this loud crack that comes from your kick, and it jars her for a minute, but she's able to keep her stance, doing a pretty good kick to her. So now it's her turn. And after you kick her, she's going to charge and try and land a hard punch across your face. And she rolled a 24 to hit, dealing another 4 points of damage to you. As she kind of like gets the feeling back from the kick that you landed, she jumps up and lands this jumping punch on you, and it staggers you back. It is now your turn.
Okay, as I stagger back and she moves forward, I'm gonna try and just do a punch to the gut to try and just knock the wind out of her. It is a 12 hit.
A 12 does not hit, so as you go to punch her, she expects the blow from you and steps to the side, blocking the blow, and she's going to try and counter with a left hand right back to the nose that she had originally hit you with. And she rolls a 9. So as she goes to land that left punch, you step out of the way, and you can see her back exposed here. What would you like to do now?
Yeah, as I see her back, I'm actually gonna try and go for like a headlock against her.
Okay. Go ahead and you will make, this would effectively be a grapple. So you would roll your athletics check, and she could roll an athletics or acrobatics to try and escape it. Let's go ahead and make your roll.
I rolled a 7.
Okay. She rolled a 12. So she is able to resist the grapple from you. So as you try and get your arms around, she gets her hands up and gripping your arms, she uses what strength that she has to push your hands and arms just away from her neck, and she's going to make an attack. Does a 16 hit?
Yeah, so 16 hits me.
Okay, and so as you try and grip, she pushes the arm back, and she steps to the side and does this reverse, twisting your arm back into a chicken wing. And as she does that, she comes around and just clocks you right in the stomach for another 4 points of damage.
Oh, that one hurt. And I'm at 2 hit points now.
Okay, and so you feel the wind knocked out of you, but it's your turn. What do you do?
Drexiath is gonna stack her up, and he's gonna try and sock her in the face again. And I rolled a 7.
Okay, well, 7 misses, and so as you wildly swing, she goes to attack. And she rolled a 23 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
And so as you wildly swing, she steps out of the way of your swing, grabs your arm, pulls you forward, and just headbutts you straight in the face as you fall backwards. And you are now very dazed. I'm not going to say you're unconscious. Normally, after you drop past 0 hit points, you'd become unconscious. But I will say you're very dazed, maybe even concussed a little bit. And upon you falling back on your back, you can hear Sabi say, "Stop." And Janasha steps back, breathing heavily, wiping the blood off her mouth from your first hit. And seeing you fall on your back, Sabi begins inspecting your body. And upon seeing that you don't have any grievous wounds to you, she takes your hand and helps stand you back up, even though you're definitely feeling dazed and dizzy from that headbutt of Janasha. And Sabi goes, "Okay, well, I still see you both need some practice. Janasha, don't give your enemy a foothold in the beginning of the battle. It gives them a chance to take over immediately, without any mercy, and our enemies show none. You had great resolve to withstand the blows of Drexiath, but do not give your enemy a foothold in the beginning of combat." You hear Janasha breathing heavily. She goes, "Yes, Master, you got it." And she turns over to Drexiath, holding his shoulder steady as he's still dazed. She goes, "Drexiath, you must practice your stances. Janasha was so easily able to hit you because you did not do the forms that you have been accustomed and taught to use. Regardless of how you think of if they are effective or not, you must do them. It is because of your weak forms that your sister was able to take advantage. Your father wants you to know the ways and the forms of combat, for that when you both are called upon, you will be ready to take the battle to our enemies." And as she finishes up, you begin to see a figure walk into the room. And as he steps in and looks, Drexiath, you recognize that it is Merconus, your older brother. Merconus steps in and he goes, "Sabi, it is a pleasure, as always. I have just got done with business with the orcs. I am getting ready to report to Father. I am sorry I could not make my training today." Sabi looks up at Merconus and she says, "We shall train later. But for now, report to your father. You two, go back to your business of your day. We will reconvene again this afternoon." And as she says that, she walks away and begins to go step in step with Merconus, as her and Merconus begin to engage in conversation just out of your earshot, Drexiath. Is there anything you'd like to do after this, Drexiath?
No, my mind is still just on the book, even within the combat. And while my face hurts, my body hurts from the blows from Janasha, I kind of just mosey away, trying to just get back to my room.
Okay, it's as you mosey away, Janasha says, "Hey, Runt."
I turn around annoyed.
He says, "Who do you think you are? You think you can battle with us? Father is not impressed with you. You might as well just give up. You don't belong.
Upon hearing that, I acknowledge what she says, and I turn around, continue to mosey on, and I think to myself, you're right. I don't belong.
Okay. We turn our attention back to Gineod and Milcha. Gineod and Milcha, you both begin to hear the sound of footsteps. Gineod, familiar footsteps for you. Milcha, footsteps that you're hearing more so for the first time outside of the time that they brought you, but it is the familiar footsteps of the guards. And as they come, you begin to hear the sound of metal. You begin to hear the sound of something being dragged down the steps. You can hear a thunk, thunk, thunk. At first, it seems like maybe it could be the steps of the guards. But as you observe closer, you see the guards come around the corner through the entryway. And as they come through the entryway, you see that they are dragging a creature. The creature is unresponsive. And as the creature is dragged by both guards, a third guard comes over to a cell across from Milcha, just like with both of you when a third guard had came to watch the cell. The third guard opens the door, and the guards drop the body of the creature flat on his face. And the third guard quickly closes the door. And as the third guard closes the door, Milcha, you look upon the creature across the prison from you, and you recognize who this creature is. It is an orc from the very battalion that took you from Maxon, that took you from your homestead in Maxon.
And I know this orc specifically?
You do. Ben, I'll actually just have you go ahead and describe your character to us.
Okay, well, what you'll see is an unconscious orc. What Milcha would have remembered along the journey is that he, at one point, was wearing this heavier chainmail armor, but sees that here in this prison cell, he's stripped of it, along with any of his weapons. She sees a massive orc, maybe 6'4", 6'5", probably 250, 270 pounds. Very well built, strong arms, strong legs, a very pristine jawline. He has black hair that right now is down and straggly, but he normally carries it in a mohawk. But he is laying face down, and Milcha can probably see a small welt near the back of his head, as if maybe he had been knocked out.
Okay. Milcha, that is what you see.
As I see him, a rage begins to just come upon me. As his people, his band of crazy warriors, were the ones that took me from my home. And so upon seeing him, even though he's unconscious, I run up to the bars and I say, "You sick, pathetic animal. You took me from my home. You separated me from my husband, from my love, everything I loved. And your people are responsible for the wound I carry today. I hope you rot with Risha in the deep depths of suffering. And I curl back to the back of my prison cell, completely floored that the only visual I really have of anybody is one of a creature I hate so much.
Gineod hears her declaration to this, and doesn't say anything, but feels a deep sorrow about the fact that somebody would wish a person to be with Risha in any capacity.
Okay. Well, so as this unconscious orc sits there, unmoving, hours pass by, and you sit and linger and wait. And in the time of your lingering and waiting, Drexiath, we cut back to you. As you clean yourself up from the sparring that you just did, is there anything you wish to do at this point?
After I do clean up a little bit, I go back to the book and I open it back up. And as I open it back up, already feeling defeated from the criticism and the sparring and the words and backlash I felt, I go back to the book and I open it up and I look again at the message that says, "I am the power that you lack." And I look upon the sigils and I begin spending my time trying to understand that while yes, these are spells, I want to know what they mean, what they do.
Okay. Well, as you do that, you spend a number of hours doing so. You look at the book, you look at the sigils, and as you're beginning to study them, it's almost like a connection mentally and even within the soul. There's a connection to you in the book. And soon the sigils begin to look less like hieroglyphics and begin to look more like instruction. And now that you have taken some time to look at the book and to study the sigils that exist in it, you now understand what these spells do. These are the spells that you have on your character sheet. And is there anything you want to do with these spells right now?
Yeah, I think the first one I'm gonna practice just because I think it may have a little more familiarity for me in regards to the Dragonborn that I am. I'm gonna look at the sigils of Acid Splash, and I'm gonna watch the movements that I gain from the sigils and see the words that are used as I say the incantation of it. And I'm gonna try casting Acid Splash across the room. I'm gonna try casting Acid Splash.
Okay, well, as you sit there and you see the command words and think about the movements that you do, it very uniquely becomes smooth for you, a smooth range of motion. And in this first casting of this spell, you feel the acid start to come actually right from in front of you as it forms upon the use of the verbal components, and it wildly shoots out from you and shoots across your room and connects with the rocky wall that your room is made out of, giving that side of the wall a little more of a acidic smell and feel, but you can see the corrosion begin to come to the wall.
Okay, that's awesome. I look at another one that is in the book, and I'm going to try to cast the one called Minor Illusion.
Okay, this one requires no verbal components, and so as you're looking at the sigils here, what is the small illusion that you were trying to create?
I want to see if I can create just a small stone on my bed. I feel like that's a safe thing to try, right?
Yeah, I guess we can see if it is. So, as you begin the somatic movements of the spell, you begin to see that as you're moving your hands with this spell, the book gains a little bit of glow to it as you cast it. And there on your bed is an illusion of the rock that you pictured that you would be making.
Oh, okay. I'm going to try to cast one that seems a little more unfamiliar to me. As I look at the sigils and read over what they do and the verbal component with them, I'm going to cast Eldritch Blast.
Oh yes, everybody's favorite Warlock cantrip. Okay, so as you begin muttering the verbal components of this one and channeling the Eldritch power from the book, you begin to see this cackling purple energy begin to come from your hands. And you hold it there, but it is, like I said, it is cackling and in a way kind of wild. But as you kind of like are trying to maintain kind of your grip on it, you eventually come to a comfortability where it sits in your hand and awaits where you send it to go.
I'm going to try and hit I guess I'll try and hit that same wall that I hit the acid splash with.
Okay. With this one, I'll have you actually go ahead and make an attack roll.
Okay. Spell attack uses D22, right, Johnny?
Yes, that's correct.
That one is an 18.
Okay, so with the 18, you, from maybe 15 feet away, you blast the wall, and as you blast that wall where the acid splash was, some chunks of it kind of come crumbling out of the wall, and as it does, there's a few other, like the force impact behind it kind of softly moves some of your clothes around for a minute, and then ultimately everything is still. But that blast definitely does leave a small dent within the walls of your room.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I think just until I need to conceal what I'm doing, I'm actually just going to keep practicing the sigils and the cantrips and the spells, and with the whole motivation that this book is the power that I lacked. And I continue to practice.
All right, very good. So Drexiath, we'll cut from this scene of you and we'll go back to the prison cells where Gineod, Milcha, and this new orc come into play here. And Ben, as you now begin to come to consciousness, and as you come to consciousness, your eyes beat, your head hurts, and your memory comes back to you, and you remember the very moment that you had hand-delivered a female dwarf over to Merconus and his squad of dragonborn warriors. You all of a sudden remember that upon you doing that, you were betrayed by one of your very own. Sumog, your clan leader, came from behind and struck you right in the back of the head, causing you to fall unconscious. And you awaken. How do you feel in this moment now?
Yeah, when I awaken and I remember that I'm angry instantly. I am angry that my clan leader called me a great warrior, knew me as the champion of my clan, a survivor, and I become frustrated. I run up to the iron bars and I begin pounding on them with the palm of my hand.
Okay, as you do that, you begin pounding on the bars, and as you start to, the Dragonborn guards now all of a sudden come, and they pull out their spears. Even the one across from Milcha's cell comes over, draws a spear, and begins poking it at you to get back from the doors.
Okay, and as they do that, I realize I'm unarmed, and I step back, wanting to maintain survivability.
Okay, and as you do that, they walk back. And as the guard to Milcha's cell walks back to her door, you begin to see Milcha across from you.
Yeah, Milcha's glaring at him as he comes to consciousness. Not saying a word, but just ultimately glaring in anger.
Yeah, and as I see her, I step forward with a look of confidence, and I think a look of pride as I look back at you before sitting back down with my prison cell.
As you do that, all three of you wait. Not, again, time is hard to tell down here with a lack of anything to help you tell. But soon, you see another Dragonborn come down with two guards flanking him. This Dragonborn is adorned in the scale mail armor that clanks every time he steps. And as he walks down and stands in the middle of the prison within view of each of your cells, he says, "All right, well, let's see who we have here for tonight's entertainment. We have the female dwarf, Milcha, taken from Maxon, supposedly capable with a weapon. And what's this, a little bit of healing magic, is that correct?"
I don't say anything as he speaks of me.
And we also have the great orc champion, Gorzog. He looks back at Milcha and back to Gorzog. Milcha's captor, of course.
And Gorzog just growls as the warden speaks with him.
The warden turns his head and looks back towards Gineod. He says, "And we have Gineod, the alien. Well, the people coming ought to be pleased."
Pleased of what exactly?
The warden pauses and smirks and looks at all of them, and he goes, "Well, you are the entertainment for tonight. You see, Lord Zorakus has decreed that you three are to be Helver's gladiators, an entertainment being brought back after months since the last crew of gladiators we had did not survive. I want you to understand now that as gladiators of Zorakus, there are a few things you should know. You shall earn your stay here by fighting for your lives on a nightly basis for the entertainment of Zorakus and his followers. Get used to your cell. It's your new home."
No, not our new home. I want out.
You will not get out, Milcha. You will have to fight for it, even if you do carry a newborn within you. You all should see this as a great honor. Lord Zorakus is usually quick to deal death to those that he encounters who do not submit themselves to him. This evening, you will be outfitted with the armor and weapon of your choice for tonight's battle. Any questions?
There is no way to earn our freedom.
Freedom? The warden steps up directly in front of the cage, face to face with you, Gineod. He says, "This is your freedom." And takes a deep breath in. He steps back and he says, "We will come again this evening. I suggest you get your rest." And he exits the prison.
As the warden exits the prison, Gorzog looks ahead to Milcha and begins to slightly grin at the idea of being back as a gladiator. Familiar territory for him.
As he leaves, Gineod is going to say, "Okay, Milcha, Gorzog, we can do this. All we have to do is work together. I believe we can make it out of this, so long as we do what we can to keep each other safe."
Gorzog yells out in front, since he can't see Gineod's cell, "No, alien, you are on your own. You will fight for yourself and no one else. Such is the way of a gladiator. There is no assisting, there is no help, there is no teamwork. It's all about survival."
That's funny, coming from someone betrayed by his own captain, his own clan leader. If anybody needs the assistance, I bet it's you.
Gorzog just growls at her saying this. "Well, we'll see how long you last this evening."
Gineod says nothing more and will remain in his present cell.
Okay. We cut back to Drexiath. Drexiath, you take the time to continue to master the sigils, and these you surprisingly are able to pick up pretty quickly. You now feel confident about what you're seeing, within the book and the power that you're feeling within it. And after taking some time to rest, you hear a knock at your door.
Yes, who is it?
It's Sabi. Your father wants to see you.
Upon hearing that father wants to see me, I groan. And I can just hope at this point that it has nothing to do with the book. And as bad as it is to say, I hope it has to deal with the clumsiness of my battle techniques. I go ahead and get ready to go ahead and visit Father.
Okay, so you go ahead and get ready, and it's late afternoon right now, and as you're walking through the various courtyards and up the mountain to his throne room, you open the door to his throne room where you had previously suggested the idea of a battle in the Colosseum. And as you walk in to see the piles and piles of gold and treasure that your father rests upon, you see Merconus to your left, Janasha to your right. And as you walk up now in the center, your father turns to all three of you. And he says, "Your time is coming." What do you mean? What have you called us here for? Zorakus turns his whole body as coins start to fall from the pile and from his body and comes face to face with all of you. We are opening the Colosseum up again, per the strategic suggestion of your young brother here. We have 3 new warriors that have come into Helver's grasp. The alien Asamar, who was here earlier. A female dwarf claimed to wield a weapon and yet be able to heal like the battle medics of the North. And we also contain the great champion of the orc clans and feared. And today, they will battle for their lives. Okay, so, Father, what does this have to do with us? Why have you called us here, specifically? Zorakus aims his head more towards Janasha here, and he says, "You will watch the warriors. They shall be tested tonight, and as they are tested, we will see what they can do. After they battle tonight, tomorrow, if they survive, they will battle you."
Us? As in, like, us 3? Individual combat? Together?
They will fight all of you, and that shall be your test, to see if you are ready. To see if we are ready for what, Father? To see if you are ready for war.
To see if... for war? With who?
I have plans for our warriors to travel north, to take control of the Ches Mountains, and lay claim to all of the treasure residing in there. Diamonds, emeralds, amethysts, topaz. I must see that as warriors, you are ready to lead them. That would be our honor, Father. Yes, Father, we are ready. We can do it. Very good. See to it that you continue to seek Sabi's training, for it will prepare you for tomorrow. Yes, Father. Yes, Father.
Yes, Father.
Now leave me. Merconus and Janesha exit.
I also follow them and exit.
Okay, so as you follow them back, we now come back to the early evening moments as multiple guards begin coming in. All three of your cells open up: Gineod, Milcha, and Gorzog. As they open up, multiple guards assigned to each of you begin dragging you out of your cell. And as they drag you out of their cells, holding weapons to your back as they walk you, they take you out of the prison cells to a room containing a table to your left and a table to your right. To your left is a table filled with multiple kinds of weapons. It contains axes, bows, javelins, glaives, swords, maces. Multiple options for you to choose from. And to your right, you see a table containing armor, leathers, hides, scale mails. It's here that you are now able to choose the weapons and armor of your choice for your survival tonight. We'll start with Gineod. Gineod, what do you choose?
Is there a limit of how many weapons and armor I can choose?
There is not. However, you will have to keep in mind your carrying capacity is based on your strength score. And if you carry too many weapons or armor, it could hinder your movement in battle should you carry too much.
Okay. I think I am not going to grab any armor. I'm going to remain unarmored.
Okay. So going half naked, essentially.
Yeah. Yep, half naked. And then, as far as weapons go, Gineod will pick up a longbow. He'll pick up the javelin, and I think I'll go ahead and take the glaive.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's all.
Okay. We'll move to Gorzog next. Gorzog, what would you like to take?
Going to the weapons first, Gorzog is familiar with the use of a battle axe and a scimitar. Normally, in his previous battles, he would dual wield weapons, and so he's going to pick up a battle axe and a scimitar, and he'll also take a short bow in case he needs anything for range. For the armor, he's familiar with movement in heavy armor. And so he will just take the heaviest armor he can get.
Okay. That'll be the chainmail then.
Okay, he'll take the chainmail.
Okay. Then we'll go to Milcha. Milcha, what would you like to get?
Yeah, Milcha is very hesitant. Like, she's actually very intimidated to be having guards behind her, ready to attack should comply, but yet standing next to two warriors who she has just been raided by. Well, she was only raided by the orcs, but the fact that there are others choosing weapons is kind of intimidating to her. But she musters up a little bit of courage and is going to move forward and is going to take a mace. And then she's going to take some hide armor and a shield.
Okay. So you all have your equipment. Anything else you want to do in this room here?
No, I don't think so.
I think I'm ready.
Yeah, I think I'm ready as well.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and move forward into the evening now. Numbers of creatures are now starting to gather to the Helver Coliseum. Multiple kinds of creatures. Most of them dragonborn. But there are some elves and humans and gnomes and tiefling. Like, it's the majority of the population is probably dragonborn and tieflings, as most of them reside here in the southern part of Domaselum. And as they come, they're taking their seats in the Coliseum. You three are lined up in a hallway with a cage door that lifts up and down just ahead of you as you sit there and wait and prepare to be brought in for battle. You can hear the sound of these creatures waiting, as if this has been an entertainment that has been missed for some time.
As we're standing there in the hallway, Gineod stands next to Milcha. He looks down at her and he says, "I will protect you. I do not wish for any harm to come to you, and I will do what it takes to make sure you walk out of this."
As much anxiety that Milcha is having right now, she takes a lot of comfort in those words, despite not knowing much or anything about Gineod, and looks ahead, not changing any expression, but ultimately feeling slightly better after hearing that.
So as you get ready to be brought into the Coliseum, Drexiath, you are now at the top of the mountain peak, looking down upon the Coliseum battleground with your siblings. And as you sit there and watch, you hear the thuds, boom, 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 of your father stepping out towards the lookout, and he reveals his image to the crowds that sit within the Coliseum beneath the mountain peak. His voice carries out from the mountaintop all the way down to the Coliseum, and he yells, "Let the battle begin." As you walk out to the sound of Zorakus saying for the battle to begin, the door opens as the lot of you are pushed out towards the door, and you step out into the middle of an open coliseum. And as you look around in the coliseum, you can see the various creatures. They're all shouting and jeering. Some just shouting to shout, some saying very vulgar things, wishing for your death, wishing to see a violence and bloodshed break out in the middle of the Colosseum. As you stand around here in the Colosseum, a quiet hush kind of comes over as they wait. And as you begin looking around in the Colosseum, not seeing anything, you see 3 doors open in front of you. One from the left, one to the right, one from the center. And as they do, 3 wolves, as dark as the night, come running out. And as they breathe openly, and you hear them breathe heavily, they begin just charging towards you. We're going to go ahead and roll initiative here.
All right, first group combat, here we go.
I got a 23.
Okay, Gineod with a 23.
I got a 13.
Okay, Gorzog with a 13.
I got a 12.
Okay, Milcha with a 12. Okay. As the wolves begin to charge forward towards you, Gineod, you ultimately act first. You have one to your left, coming to you from the center, one coming to you from the right. What would you like to do?
Well, seeing the one charged from the left, I look at Milcha and I look at Gorzog, but ultimately my longer look is to Milcha and protecting her. And with my bonus action, I'm going to go ahead and rage.
All right, first rage of the campaign. Let's do it.
Yeah. And Johnny, remind me, I think you mentioned something as we were talking about this before. You said that if I wanted to, I could hold an action. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can hold an action. Essentially, just what you do is you tell me which action you're holding and the condition that you're wanting to act on, essentially. And once the condition happens, then you may go ahead and make your attack roll. If the condition doesn't attack, then you lose your action for the round.
Okay. As I rage and veins kind of just begin popping from my skin, I take the glaive with 2 hands and I'm going to hold my action to attack until a wolf comes near Milcha.
Okay, that sounds good. So that would end your turn then. We're at Gorzog.
Yeah, I see the wolf coming from the right, and I am actually just going to go ahead and charge towards him, and I'm going to make my attacks against him.
Okay, go ahead and make your attack.
Okay. This is my first time using weapon mastery, so I'm going to see if I can get it right here. So I'm going to first attack with my battle axe.
Okay, go ahead and make your attack roll.
That is a 23 to hit.
Yeah, that hits. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Oh wait. Okay, so I rolled a 1. However, my origin feat that I took is Savage Attacker, which means that I can re-roll any one of my weapon damage rolls and use the new soul.
Yeah, so go ahead and do that. Unless you want to keep the 1.
No, I don't think so. Oh my gosh, I rolled a 1 again. Okay, so that is 4 points of damage. The battle axe has the top, which I have the weapon mastery called Topple. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can force the creature to make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the creature has the prone condition.
Okay, so the wolf needs to make a Constitution saving throw. That is a 14.
Okay, a 14 does succeed, so he remains upright. With my bonus action, I'm going to attack with the scimitar, which is a light weapon, in which I can use my bonus action to attack with that one, right?
Yeah, that's correct. The 2-weapon fighting enables you to do that. And do you have the 2-weapon fighting style as well?
Yes, that was the one I took at first level.
Okay, so then you would be able to add your ability modifier damage on this one as well.
Okay. That one is a 15 to hit.
Yeah, that hits. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Okay, that's another 5 points of damage.
So 9 damage total. All right, so as you walk up here, you walk up battle axe in hand and you swipe at the wolf, and as the wolf kind of lunges, you hit it across to the side and it remains on its feet, and as it starts to charge towards you again, you use the scimitar to quickly scratch the middle of the wolf's torso, and the torso begins to bleed, and the wolf's actually looking pretty bad now at this point. That ends your turn?
Yes, that ends my turn.
Okay, we are to the wolves. And so we'll start with the first wolf on the left. The first wolf on the left is going to run forward, and it's going to attack you, Gineod. Does a 19 hit?
Yeah, that does hit.
Okay. Gineod, you take 5 points of damage as the wolf comes running towards you, and as it bites down on your, it charges and jumps and bites down on your shoulder, it actually knocks you prone as you take the damage. The second one is going to run up, and it's going to try and attack Milcha.
Okay, Jai, does my ready to action go off then?
Yes, your ready to action does go off. You are prone though, so you'll just be at disadvantage on your attack.
Okay. Okay, that is an 11 to hit.
An 11 just misses.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the wolf runs towards you, Milcha, and it's going to try to do the same thing to you that it did to Gineod, and it's going to attack you. However, it is next to another wolf, and the wolves have pack tactics, which means that if another wolf is within 5 feet of it, then it gets advantage on the attack roll. Does a 17 hit?
Yes, a 17 hits.
Okay, you take 3 points of damage as you also suffer a bite attack, and you are also knocked prone.
Oh, okay.
All right, and then the one that you attacked, Gorzog, is going to try to bite you, and does a 13 hit?
No, it does not.
Okay, so as it goes to bite you, you're able to just shrug it off and move your shoulder pauldron away to kind of block the bite, and it gets back into its stance, ready to bite again. But that ends the wolves' go. It is now Milcha's turn. Milcha, what would you like to do?
Okay, I have my mace still, so I could still attack with that, correct?
Correct, yes. You would be able to attack with it. You would just be at disadvantage.
Okay, I will go ahead and attack with it. Oh, there wasn't bad rolls. I had a 21 to hit.
Yeah, that hits. Go ahead and roll your damage on it.
Yes, all right, I rolled a 6. Plus 3 is 9 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay, nice one, Milcha. So as this wolf is kind of just biting towards your face, you let go of your mace for a second, but then you grip the handle and you just smack right on the head of this wolf. And the wolf's looking pretty bad. But that ends your turn. We are at the top of the next round. We are at Gineod. Gineod, what would you like to do?
Okay, as it charged at me and I'm now prone on the ground, I am going to would I be able to use half my movement to stand up?
Yes, you sure could.
Okay, I think I'm going to do that, and then I am going to use the glaive to attack.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and make your attack roll.
Oh, that's pretty good. I rolled a 24 to hit.
Yep, that hits. Go ahead and do your damage. Make sure to remember to add your rage bonus to it too.
All right, that is 11 points of damage.
Okay, so as you get your glaive up here, you find an open point as this wolf is trying to keep you down, where you can make a strike, and he would be at your mercy here. How would you like to end the wolf?
Okay, awesome. So, like, after he knocks me down and he's going in for another bite, I take my glaive and I roll over to the left of him, and then as I grab the glaive, I swing it horizontally as hard as I can and split the jaw in half and cut the wolf down.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it happens exactly as you say it. Okay, that ends your turn. We are to Gorzog.
Yeah, right after the wolf tries to bite me and I fight him off with a shoulder pauldron, I'm going to go ahead and make another attack against him. And this time, I am going to... I'll just use the battle axe again. That one was a 9.
Okay, so a 9 misses as you swing down with the battle axe and the wolf dodges out of the way.
Okay, well, as he dodges out of the way, I'm going to use my bonus action to come back over with the scimitar. That one is a 16, Johnny.
Yeah, 16 hits. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Okay, I roll 8 points of damage on that one.
Okay, and so as you go ahead and come across with the battle axe and miss, the wolf tries to take advantage of it and lunge towards you, but as you do, you stick the scimitar within the midsection of the wolf, and the wolf gets cut down and dies.
Hey, how come I didn't get to describe my kill like Gineod did?
Well, with not much HP left, I didn't see there be much to ultimately describe there, but I'll get you the next time.
Okay, that works for me.
Okay, so now we are at the wolf, and the wolf that's got Milcha down here is going to try and bite at her face again. And that is a natural 20.
Oh no.
Okay, so again with critical hits, we take the maximum of the damage die and then roll the die again, and then we total it all up after that. So it's a d6, so he automatically gets 6, and then he rolled a 1, which is a 7, so it's a lighter crit. It'd be for a total of 9 points of damage.
Okay, I am out. I am at 0.
Okay, so as the wolf lunges at you with its mouth. It grabs a hold of your neck, and it kind of wrenches a little bit as it grabs your neck, and you are bleeding pretty profusely from the neck. And yeah, you are now unconscious. It is your turn now, Milcha. I'll actually have you go ahead and make a death saving throw for me.
Okay, so remind me, Johnny, with death saving throws, how that works.
Yeah, so with death saving throws, whenever you hit 3 failed death saving throws, then you die. Anything 10 or above is a success. Anything below a 10 is a failure. If you get hit with a melee attack, roll, then it's an automatic 2 failed death saving throws. If you just take damage in general from a non-melee attack roll, then it's just 1 failed death saving throw. So go ahead and roll your d20, and we'll see what happens.
I rolled a 6.
Okay, so that is 1 death saving throw for you, Milcha. All right, but we are back up to Gineod.
All right, seeing that Milcha is now down, Gineod really feels the rage inside of him at this point. And he's frustrated at the situation, but he's more so frustrated with himself that he couldn't protect Milcha from this creature. And seeing that he is within range here, I'm going to swing as hard as I can with my blade.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and make your attack roll.
I got a 14 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
And I did 11 points of damage with that swing.
All right, and so yeah, in your raging fury, all of a sudden a wind starts to pick up on your hair, and your veins start to bulge, and your veins start to pop, and your muscles just bulge as you grip this glaive. And as this wolf is standing right over Milcha, the wolf is about to lunge in for another bite and go for the kill. But it's at this point where you step in behind the wolf and you stab your glaive just in between the head and the torso area, just clean through the neck as you pull it out and kick the wolf away. And the wolf is dead. And as you do that, the crowd just begins to jeer upon the sound of battle and the sound of blood staining the Colosseum, both in Wolf and in you guys as well. And as the guards begin to come out, but we are going to still be in initiative order here. Gorzog, it is your turn.
Okay, so as I notice the final wolf fall, I see the guards come out. I actually look to the crowd and just soak in all of the jeers and the familiarity behind being a gladiator and feared, and seeing the love of violence from these people, and it makes me feel encouraged to take it all in. So that's what I spend my action doing.
Okay, that means we come back to Milcha here. Milcha, I need you to give me another death saving throw.
I rolled an 18.
Okay, so that is 1 success. We are now up to Gineod. Gineod, you start to begin to see the guards beginning to come out, and you see that Milcha is still down at this point, and unless any intervention is done, like, she could begin bleeding out here pretty quickly.
Okay, I actually drop the glaive and I take my hands and I put her head in my hands, and I rest my hands upon her neck, and I say, "I'm so sorry, Milcha. I tried to protect you. I did everything I could to try, but I'm going to save you now. Everything's going to be okay." And as I say that, I'm going to use my Healing Hands feature, which I get once per long rest as an ASMR. And it says, as a magic action, you touch a creature and heal that creature a number of d4s equal to your proficiency bonus.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so go ahead and roll.
First one is a 2, and the second one is a 1, so that's 3.
Okay. Milcha, you gain 3 hit points. As a result of this, you are now no longer dying, and you can begin to feel your airways start to clear after the bite had led to some blood loss, and ultimately your lungs were starting to get filled with blood. But as Gineod puts his hands on your neck, the blood filling your lungs begins to stop, and the wound begins to fix itself. There is still a pretty good scar there, and it's still a pretty deep wound, but you are now no longer dying, and you awaken from your unconsciousness to see Gineod over you, and Gineod, you see her come back to consciousness.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Everything's gonna be okay.
As he says that, I breathe deeply and I start to sob at the thought that it seemed like I would never find a day anymore where I would be able to be saved. But I was today, and Milcha looks upon you grateful.
I slowly help Milcha to her feet, and I try to be careful to not touch any part of her belly.
Okay, so you do help her up as she is slow to get up, and the guards come and now begin to bring you back towards the prisons underneath the Colosseum area here. Drexiath, as you watched on, you now see Zorakus go back to his lair with Merconus and Janasha following him.
Yeah, I will follow them in a minute, but I look on just stunned at what I saw and begin to contemplate and think on these warriors and their bravery today.
Okay. From this point then, we will cut back to the prison later in the evening. As the battle ends, you each return back to the hallway where you came from, where the guards immediately take you. They strip you of your armor and of your weapons. Do any of you resist this?
Milcha does not resist.
Yeah, neither does Gineod.
Gorzog thinks about it, but ultimately drops his weapon upon the number of guards that are aiming their weapons at him.
As you drop your weapons, remove your armor, they take the pieces from you and they begin escorting you back to the cell where the warden has encouraged you to make your home. And upon a successful victory here in the Colosseum, you feel a level of confidence that you have done what you were supposed to ensure survival for another day. Is there anything you wish to do in the meantime?
As I go back to my cell, I look to Milcha and I say, "Don't worry, I will continue to protect you, no matter what."
Milcha looks back at Gineod just before he's put back in his cell. And now giving a slight recognition of a smile, feeling secure upon him saying that. She says, "Thank you."
I give a little bit of resistance to the guards, but ultimately let them shove me back within my cell.
So you guys are put back in your cell as the guards leave you. And as you collect yourself for the evening, resting from the weary battle with the wolves, Drexiath, we go to you. What do you wish to do now that you are back in your room?
I think about the battle that I just watched, and I keep replaying the scene of the throne room and Gineod being an alien of curiosity for all that reside in Helver. And I think about this battle and how he is fighting for his survival along with the other two. And I think, as much as anything, Drexiath doesn't want to go through with what is going to happen tomorrow, where he and his siblings face these three. And despite the rights and call it nobility if you want that he has as a child of Zorakus, he does not wish a death on any of them. So Drexiath is gonna decide to act, and I will walk down out of my room and take the long walk that it takes to get down to the prison cells. Before I go down to the prison cells, I open the book containing the sigils that I've been practicing for the spells that reside in this book. I say to the book, I don't belong here. Is there any way out of this?
Drexiath, as you say this to the book, a page in the book flips over. And 4 words begin to write themselves on the book. And as you read it, it says, I will protect you.
I look at those words and question what that means. But ultimately, I feel satisfied enough from those words. I will leave my room and I will walk down to the prison cells.
Okay. You take the long walk through the prison cells as the night has come down over the Camor, the 3 moons now out and visible in the night sky. And as you walk down with the moonlight and the starlight above you, you come outside and then you enter through a series of hallways that eventually lead you to the descending staircase where the prison cells reside. As you walk down, the guards stand at attention as you approach and they see you standing in front of them. One of them looks to you and says, Master Drexiath, why do you come here in the middle of the night?
I say to them, I want to get inside the psyche of those we face tomorrow. I ask you to please leave me with them. That way I can taunt them before we battle tomorrow.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a deception check. Or persuasion if you're being truthful.
Well, that's good. That is a 23 deception.
All right, 23. All right. So, Drexiath, as you say this, the guards look at each other and then they look to each guard that's blocking the cells And you see them give a head movement as one by one they file out of the prison area and begin walking up the stairway.
Once I see them all go up the stairway, I walk towards the center and remove my hood to show my face to all of them. And I say, "Hello. My name is Drexiath. You fought bravely today."
I get up from my cell, put my hands on the bars. I say, "Hello, Drexiath. I am Gineod. I'm pretty sure you already know that, though, after you suggested that the Colosseum battle would be my place here in Helver."
Yes, I do remember that. You stood bravely in front of my father. And I must admit, I was curious about you the moment that happened. I've come to let you know that even though you have not been told yet, you will battle again tomorrow. However, you will battle against me and my siblings. My siblings are tough. I will admit that I am not. But I also saw you today in your battle with the wolves. And I've heard of how you came here and became prisoners of my father. And I've come to say that I do not wish to battle against you. I wish to free you.
Free us? Oh man, I hope Daddy doesn't know that.
I don't believe that he does.
Well, you should let him know, because there is no way you or your siblings do not walk out of that arena alive tomorrow. I will not go down so easily. So your words mean nothing down here.
Let him talk, Gorzog. I want to hear what he has to say.
Hear what he has to say? That's pathetic. This reptilian creature merely wants to get in your head, take your psyche out of it. You heard him tell the guards. He's come to make your mind weak for battle, and I am not a fool. Your blood will spill on that ground along with your siblings.
What you do to my siblings is no concern to me, and ultimately, if you see this as a challenge of combat against warriors such as yourself, I am not of a stature built as a warrior. Though my father expects a warrior out of me. As I said, I wish to free you.
How? How would you do that?
I will be honest, I don't know, as of yet.
So, wait, you come down here to tell us that you want to free us, and yet you don't have a plan of how to do it?
It's hard to explain, other than to trust the power that I have.
To trust a power within you? You are frail, boy. You do not belong out on the battlefield.
You're right, I don't. Which is why I ask you to consider my offer to free you as something legitimate and sincere. While I do not have a plan to ultimately get you out, I ask you to trust that a power I wield will help me.
Wow, that would be great. I've not been here on the Camor for that long, but I can say that this is not a pleasant place compared to where I came from. I would be grateful if you could get me out. If you can get us out.
Don't listen to the boy, he's lying. There is no getting us out. We fight for survival, and that's it.
Milcha, do you believe him?
Milcha's quiet for a little bit, and then she looks up at him, at Drexiath. I don't know yet. I suppose I won't know until the battle tomorrow. I guess we will see.
This is my offer to you. I will see you tomorrow, where I hope we can agree on freedom and not bloodshed. And I exit the prison.
Okay. So you exit the prison, leaving them to their thoughts and rest for the evening. And that is where we will end part 2 of our pilot session of the Archives of Domaselum.